Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribrajakacha Stotara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Primsika Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 14. Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukadukada agama paino nityastam stitishakshva bharata Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukadukada agama paino nityastam stitishakshva bharata Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukadukada agama paino nityastam stitikshashva bharata Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukadukada agama paino nityastam stitikshashva bharata Matra sensuous, sparsha, perception, two only, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Sita, winter, Ushna, summer, Sukha, happiness, Dukkada, giving pain, Agama, appearing, Apayinaha, disappearing, Anitya, non-permanent, Tan, all of them, Titikshashva, just try to tolerate, Bharata, or descendant of the Bharata dynasty. Translation. O son of Kunti, the permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception or sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Purport of Srila Prabhupada. In the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of Magh, January, February. It is very cold at that time, but in spite of that, a man who abides by religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest part of the summer season. One has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight is a religious principle of the Kshatriyas, and although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge, because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. The two different names of address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his great blood relations from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both sides he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. Matra sparshastu Kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino nitya stam titikshashva bharata. So in the purport, Prabhupada comments that Arjuna is being addressed by two names, Kaunteya and Bharata. So Kaunteya refers to his mother, Kunti. Kunti was actually the sister of Vasudeva, Krishna's father. But when she was a baby, when she was born, she was given to Maharaj Kuntidev, who was a cousin of her father, Surasen. So Kunti Bhoja brought her up as his own daughter, and therefore she is known as Kunti. But actually, her name was Pritha. Anyhow, Kaunteya means that from his mother's side, Arjuna not only he is a cousin of Krishna, but that whole dynasty going back to the Chandravamsa, or the moon dynasty of the Kshatriyas, is a very, very exalted and very, very powerful historical dynasty, and one doesn't take birth in such a dynasty by chance. So Arjuna took birth on his mother's side, and on his father's side, his father was Pandu. So Pandu is in the dynasty of Bharata. On his father's side, he's a descendant of Maharaj Bharata. Now there are two Bharatas in the Vedic history. This particular Bharata refers to the son of Maharaj Dushyanta and Shakuntala. So this is a very famous history, how these two, this king and this princess, how they fell in love, how they separated, how this boy Bharat was born and he was brought up by in the forest by the sages. This Bharat was a very, very powerful personality. He had so much power that when he was a small child, he could play with tigers. He was not afraid, and the tigers could not harm him. He was so strong. In fact, he is known by some as an empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu, which is known as a Shakti Avesha avatar, or one who is empowered by Krishna. So this Bharata was the ancestor of Arjuna on his father's side. And on his mother's side, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, appeared in that dynasty. So he was a very, very exalted and very noble personality. In fact, he was a great prince charged with taking care of the citizens. And as a Kshatriya, his duty is to fight for the principles of Dharma. What is Dharma? Dharma means to understand one's relationship with the Lord. Dharma means to become educated, to understand our spiritual nature as distinct from the bodily nature, to understand our spiritual nature in relationship with Krishna. Normally, this is done in gradual steps through a system called Varnashrama, Varna and Ashrama, that the kings, under direction from the sages, from the Brahmanas, they divide the society into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Just like my body, your body is divided into different categories: the head, the arms, the belly, and the legs. So the head are the intellectuals, the Brahminical class. The arms are the warriors or the kings, the ruling class. Their job is to protect the head and to engage the body in different activities. The stomach is the productive class: agriculture, cow protection, providing food and shelter, taking care of the land, taking care of the gifts of nature. And the legs or the working class who serve the upper classes. This is the system which makes the social body work together. It is not possible to have a classless society, because these classes are actually established by Krishna. He says in the Gita, Chatur Varnyam Mahashistram Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Krishna says, I have created these Varnas, Chatur Varna, by Guna, by quality, and Karma, by work. So the deciding principle of one's prescribed duty is according to his inclination, according to his quality, and according to his work. And in this society, it is possible to gradually make advancement in spiritual life, because the head of the society makes sure that spiritual knowledge is imparted to the citizens. Even if the lower class, even if the Shudras, the lower class, working class, even if they have no interest in spiritual life, even if they don't have capacity to understand philosophy, to understand the spiritual nature, even if they are not able to control their senses and come to the spiritual platform, because they take part in the Varnashram system, because they serve the rest of the system, they also become benefited. Just like when I use my head to earn money, and I use my arms to cook, to bring food and to cook it, and I put the food in the stomach, not only does the head become benefited and the arms and the stomach, but also the legs. So this is the system. This is the Varnashram system. And it is done in a gradual program. Because we identify so much with the body, because we identify with our situation, with this temporary life, we don't actually see very far ahead or back. But Krishna, he knows everything, past, present, and future. He works with us as a super soul, as the conscience within our heart, as the witness within our heart, and he gradually elevates us through many births. Right now, especially in this time in which we live, we have no knowledge of previous lives and we have no understanding of the next life. We are simply living for today, just like clueless children. A child, he has no understanding of his present. He just understands that he wants to play. But the parents of the child, they know that this child needs to be educated. So they provide for him not only means of sustaining the body, but also a program to elevate his mind, to elevate his knowledge. They make arrangements for him to go to school, to learn, to become educated. So in the same way, and this is not really understood by the child. The child is thinking that my parents, they stop me from playing and sending me to school. This is a botheration. Srila Prabhupada also told a funny story that when he was a small child, he also didn't want to go to school. He wanted to play. His mother had to hire a servant and they had to tie a rope around his waist and pull him towards the school. He didn't want to go. So it's natural. But the parent, he knows what the child needs. So our parent is Krishna. Krishna is the father of everyone. Aham bija prada pita. He says, I am the father of everyone. I am the seed-giving father. And because he knows past, present, and future, he is very competent to bring us towards the point of understanding our spirituality. Gradually, birth after birth. In fact, the whole material universe is created in such a way to educate the souls that come into this universe so that they can become advanced in understanding the spiritual identity, which is the key to happiness, which is the key to stopping the senseless repetition of birth and death. Speaking about Maharaj Bharat, the other Bharat, the second Bharat, who appeared long before the son of Shakuntala and Dushyanta, this original Bharat was the son of Lord Rishabdev. Rishabdev was a direct incarnation of Krishna who taught the program of complete detachment from material life, of complete dependence upon God. Anyhow, Rishabdev was a very powerful king, and he had 100 sons. The first son was Maharaj Bharat. And Rishabdev, before he retired from his monarchical position, from his kingship, and took varnaprastha, took sannyas, went off to the forest, he gathers his 100 sons and he instructed them as follows: Nayam dehodeya bhajan riloke kashtan kaman arate vidbhujamye. That, my dear sons, the purpose of life, it is not to simply satisfy the senses. Kashtan kaman vidbhujamye, because satisfying the senses, even the animals do, even the pigs do. Human life is not meant just to satisfy the senses. What is human life meant for? Tapo dibyam putraka. My dear sons, the purpose of life, he told them, is tapo dibyam, is to undergo austerities with a spiritual goal. Not austerities for my own pleasure. Not practicing the yoga system so I can become powerful, so I can become strong, so I can inflate my ego. No. Tapo dibyam, spiritual austerities, to understand my spiritual nature, to reconnect through yoga my lost connection with God. So tapo divyam putraka, my dear sons. Tapo divyam putraka Yena Sudyet, because that will purify your heart. And when your heart is purified by transcendental connection with Krishna, your heart becomes purified, then Brahma Sokyam tu Anantam. You will get spiritual happiness, which is Anantam. It is without beginning and without end. We all want to be happy. The problem is that the happiness in the material world is very rarely, very difficult to achieve. And even when we achieve it, it doesn't last very long. But Brahma Sokyam is Ananta. It is unlimited. So the advice of Rishabdev to his sons was to pursue the path of spirituality. And that path of spirituality is different according to time and place. But his son, the eldest son, Bharat, he inherited the kingdom. But when he was even a young man, he was not more than 24, 25 years old, he also gave up his kingdom. Like he followed in the footsteps of his father. Yo dustyajan dara sutam surid ridyam ridis prishaha. That dara suta, wife and children and family, is dustyajan. Dus means difficult and tyajan means to give up. That even Yovaiva, Malavat, Uttama Shloka Lalasaha. Even though this Bharata was very young, Yuva Eva, even though he was Eva, even though Yuva, he was a young man, he gave it up, Tyajan, as if it was something untouchable. He simply gave up his wife, his kingdom, his power, his prestige. He gave it all up as if it was something worth nothing. And he went to the forest because of his intimate and deep attachment to Uttama Shloka. Uttama Shloka Lala Saha. Uttama Shloka means that personality who is glorified by the greatest poetry, which is God, Krishna. So in those days, Vedic times, leaving the kingdom and going to the forest was the process of practicing yoga and practicing spirituality. In the forest, there was detachment, there were sages who had dedicated their lives for performing austerities, and one could go and take advantage of their association. So this is the second Bharat, that he left his home specifically because he became attached to Uttama Shloka. Lala Saha means to become very much attracted to Krishna. Krishna is very, very beautiful, and the verses glorifying him, Uttama Shlokas, all these beautiful prayers, give us an understanding of the beauty and happiness that can be so strong that it can pull us out of the material world. But the process of going to the forest, it is not possible to practice in these times. Since 5,000 years, we are living in the time called Kali Yuga, or the age of iron, where 75% of people are not interested in spiritual life. They are living like animals. Of the other 25% who has some understanding of spirituality, they practice spirituality for material benefit. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. They practice religion to get some material benefit. With the material benefit, they enjoy the senses. When they get frustrated in sense enjoyment, they look for liberation. But it is all based on I and mine. Therefore, to give us an opportunity to practice spirituality, even in these times, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he recommended that we simply chant the name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Chanting the name of Krishna means that, please, my dear Lord, please, energy of the Lord, engage me in your service. I have no power, I have no understanding, I have no knowledge, I have no devotion, I am even born Nicha Jati, Nicha Sangi. Sanatana Goswami said, I am born in a low family, I have very bad association, Patita Adham, I am the most fallen, Kuvishai, Kupepori, I fell into the blind well of material life, Gonayo Janam, and I've wasted my life. That was Sanatana Goswami's prayer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that I am helpless on my own, but by chanting the name of Krishna, I am simply appealing to Krishna that here I am, you please make me your devotee. Bhaktivinoda also sang, Gopinath, Mama Nivedana Shuno, please Gopinath, listen to my prayer. Bishai Durjana, I am the most fallen because I am simply interested in satisfying my senses. Sada Kamarata, I am always full of lust. Kichunai Moroguna, I have no good quality. When you think like this, when you can pray like this, that becomes very attractive to Krishna because it's real. It's not some show prayer to get some benefit from Krishna. No, it is a honest assessment of who we are and what we are and where we are in our progress of life. Gopinath, Amara Bhara Satumi, Bhaktivinoda says, my dear Gopinath, you are my only hope. The meaning of chanting Hare Krishna is you come to the point where Krishna is your only hope, not your money, not your talents, not your family, not your intelligence, not your power. No, Gopinath, he is the Bharasa, he is the only hope. So, Amara Bharasa Tumi, Tomara Charane, Loilo Sharana, Tomara Kinkoro Ami. I am your eternal servant, therefore I am coming to you. This is the reality. This is real, that we are eternal servants of Krishna. So if we give up all the other nonsense, all the other side paths on the road, if we simply concentrate on Krishna and say, here I am, I'm your eternal servant, please take care of me, then that is a very, very powerful prayer. And it contains the benediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. It doesn't matter whether you're in the Varnashrama system or out of the Varnashrama system. It doesn't matter whether you're a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha or Sannyasis, whether you're a Brahmana, whether you have Brahminical qualities, or whether you have no qualities at all. Lord Chaitanya said, simply think of yourself, understand that you're the eternal servant of Krishna, and then automatically Krishna will do the rest. This is the great benediction in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is like an ocean of fault. Kalir dosha nidhe Rajan. My dear king, Sukadeva Goswami said to Parikshit, my dear king, actually in the times we're living in, it is an ocean of faults. But there is one good quality. Asti, however, Eka Mahaguna, one wonderful great quality. Kirtanad eva Krishnasya. By taking kirtan of Krishna, by glorifying Krishna, Mukta Sangha, we become free from identifying with the body, with identifying with this material world. Param Brajet, and we go to this topmost destination. We don't take another material birth. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he prayed, he said, Naham Vipro. This is Lord Chaitanya is directly speaking. He says, I'm not a Brahmana. Even though Lord Chaitanya was born in a very high-class Brahminical family in Navadip, he took his birth in a Brahminical family, but he claimed that I am not a Brahmana. Naham Vipro. Na cha narapatir napi vishayo na shudra. He says, I am not a Vaishya, I am not a Shudra. Naham Varni, I am not in the Varnashram system. Nacha Griyapatir, I am not a Grihastha. Na Vanashto, I am not a Vanaprastha. Yatir Vakintu, he says, no, who am I? Gopi Bhartuk Pada Kamalaya Dasa Dasanudas. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of the gopis, who is brilliantly existing on the spiritual platform. This is the real brilliance of life, that if you somehow connect to the lotus feet of Krishna's servant, you become effulgent with the light of knowledge. And this light of knowledge is so powerful, it will prevent us from taking another material birth at the moment of death. Thank you very much. So, Krishna Premavati Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna Prabhus, Atma Vidya also, Hare Krishna, humble obeisances to all. From Rob also, pranams. From snowy, wintry Connecticut. Yes, it's going to snow here in Amsterdam this weekend. We're here also. Hare Krishna. Filippo Garciano, my humble obeisances. Thank you, Prabhu. Rob comments that tapasya, socham, daya, satyam are the four legs of religion that elevate our existence to the spiritual platform. So austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truth. These are like the four legs of Dharma. Dharma is personified as a bull. This bull has only one leg left in Kali Yuga, and that is truth. But even that is very, very difficult to find. Mandy Priya also checked in. She says, Hare Krishna. So all of you, if you have any questions, kindly put a comment and I will answer later. Thank you for joining me. I apologize for missing Wednesday's class. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, things go wrong. But never mind. The one beauty of Krishna consciousness is whatever you have, you never lose. You may only have 1%, but that 1% will stay with you forever, because Krishna consciousness has the power to actually change the heart, to change our habits and to become free from the karma connecting us to other living entities, previous work and previous activities that brought us and kept us in the material world. That's easy to cut. But to change the heart, that can only be done by the mercy of Krishna. And that is his main business, to give us this understanding through which we can become free from the desire of taking another material birth. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.